Kumar Das and Richa Desai ma'am, all the faculty members, research scholars, dear participants, namaskar. I, Dr. Ashish Devgare, member of IIC 3.0, welcomes you all for one-day workshop on National Innovation and Startup Policy, Decoding NISP 2090, Way Ahead for Startup and Innovation. National Innovation and Startup Policy is a guiding framework to enable the institutes to actively engage the students, faculties, faculties and staff in innovation and entrepreneurship related activities. It includes to facilitate the development of the tactical ecosystems in the organization, creation of the incubation facilities for nurturing the innovation and startup, and supporting and directing the newly developed startups in the resource mobilization and its planning. As all we know that India aspires to become 5 trillion economy and a Atmanirbhar Bharat in near future. To reach this mark, it needs to evolve the systems and the mechanisms to convert the present demographic dividend into a high quality technical human resources capable of doing cutting edge technologies, research and innovations. These envisions and educational systems oriented towards the developments and the explorations of the startups developed by the students and the faculties. We believe that the tiny changes makes and shows a remarkable results. To contribute towards these goals, an initiative like Hackathon, Tech Fest, idea competitions will be pipeline in near futures as well as it is marching ahead in due course of times so that it can tackle all the local issues as well as whatever the requirements towards the 5 trillion economy and the Atmanirbhar Bharat, it can be possible. We also believe that the goals of the institutions is to link innovators to enterprises and to the financial successful ecosystems. No institutes of the science and the technology can guarantee discovers and we cannot plan or command a work of the genius at will, but we can give a sufficient thought for nurturing the young innovators to provide a right atmosphere and conditions. There is no as such book which directs or teaches the innovations which describes chronological steps how the innovations can be executed and startups can be formulated. It is only the experience and the trials and the failures which came in due course of times while working can advocate us that what sort of the steps to be adopted so that we can be give a better and a successful path towards the prosperous innovations and the startups. To brief about the various initiatives towards the strengthening the innovations and the startup ecosystem in the education, may I now request our Honorable Director Sirs to express his thoughts on this occasion. On this occasion, sir, Director Sir, please.
Okay. Very good morning to the distinguished speakers for our workshop on the National Innovation and the Startup Policy 2019. Mr. Prasanta Kumar Das, Mr. Prabir Kumar Das, Jurisdictional Director and Software Technology Park of India. And regarding Mr. Prasanta Kumar Das, obviously he is our own person, our alumni. So that is his identity with us. then Mrs. Desai from Meditech also. Now, this regarding this innovation NISP, National Innovation and Startup Policy, which is directed for the students and the faculty members as well as for the staff members as well. So that is acting as a guiding framework for higher educational institutions like us. And obviously, there are several areas like say IPR, technology licensing, what will be the startup policy, and so on. So I start with our vision of our institute in terms of the research and the innovation. That is, which is actually spearheading our journey towards the next attainable goal. So now, when you talk about research and innovation, so we obviously focus on the translational research. That is what research and innovative activities we do in our institute. We want to take it to the not from the lab prototype level to the field prototype to the society level. And so that not only take care of our societal responsibilities, but also that is whatever investment we do on our research and the innovation activities that truly reaches the society. And in this connection, I'm happy to share with you just yesterday, say in one Indo-European Union project on the sustainability, in which N.I.T. Silchar is one of the proud partners from India. So which is on the sustainable development of say will be taking spearheading taking our activity for the sustainable energy development and all-round development of a nearby village in the next 4 years of time. So it will not only take care of the translational part, but also the societal responsibility that an institute has got to play. Then innovation has to be interdisciplinary. So obviously research and innovation. So disciplines or the departmental bounds are not there. Then the collaborative nature of these activities, international nature also, and the role of the industry. So we have our own innovation center where the student teams are working. So the details obviously will be shared by our IIC members, president and other members as well. Now, in terms of the various activities, say what we already know that in the area of the Smart India Hackathon, our student teams are performing quite well, and in many cases, so they are say taking the working as the ambassador of the institute to the next level. For example, in the recent MIT COVID-19 challenge by the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, USA, the NIT Silchar team was one of the 8 teams in the final out of 1,528 teams all over the world. We also organize hackathons at the institute level. That means from the institute where the participants from all over the country, they take part. We take part in the Otol ranking of institutions of innovation achievements, or the ARIA ranking. And in the last ARIA ranking, we were placed in the rank band of 11 to 25 for these centrally funded institutes. Obviously, our target is to reach to the next higher level. We already have the Institute Innovation Council. And in the recent 3-4 years, we have seen an increase in the number of patent applications and the patent approvals also, publishing of patents. And say when we start our work on say identifying say out of the PhD thesis which are being granted degrees in one convocation, we see that many of the applicants, that is after finishing their PhD, they have applied for the patent along with the supervisor. So this is a nice trend, that is the product ownership rights for the technologies developed at the institutes. One area I think that we need to include, or this time we have started doing that is with the first year student, BTech students, right from the beginning when they join, as part of the induction program, this Institute Innovation Council. So we organized the My Story program. So one of the startup entrepreneur was from the nearby institute, That is, earlier he was a student there at IIT Guwahati. And then then the next speaker was from our own institute. That is, he was an alumni here. And in one of the recent startups, say, which Mr. Prasant Das has mentored, so that was on the agri-tech domain. So they are also one alumni from NIT Silchar is an important member of that team. And when the students are in the institute studying their program, but they are starting their own companies. So that may not be too large in number, but in many cases, I think that goes to the reaches the double digit kind of thing. And when they pass out, many of them have started their own companies. And so we are trying to consolidate the startups which are floated by our past students, alumni students, so that they can also enthuse our new batch of students and the current batch of students also. And that we have seen during this induction program. One area where we are now focusing on is basically the faculty startups, because that is also a part of this innovation policy. And some of our faculties have expressed their interest to have a startup. So obviously in the next few months or so, we'll be trying to see that what's the concrete steps, what concrete supports we can take following the guidelines of the National Innovation and the Startup Policy. Because say we need to work on this area, because when we were looking into the student flow, say the engineering technology domain or in the science domains or in the management domain students also. So there are obviously a large chunk of students who want to go for their jobs in the reputed companies. So that is a good thing. But there is a sizable number of students who want to do entrepreneurship, start something on their own. And all of them obviously are innovative in their mind. Everyone has got some idea to do. So right from the beginning, what we see, whether it is a cultural program or it is, say, some technical program, so that if students are putting their innovative minds in there, we need to nurture that. And finally, before concluding, I like to point out two things. One is that most of these entrepreneurship activities, we see that they are on the soft side. That means, say the software-based programs, ICT-based companies also. So why not startups on the hard engineering part, that is developing tools and etc. We understand that that is not an easy task for a startup, because the initial capital and etc. But I think that is the need of the future also. And then finally, say, because we have so much software developers within present and the past, and our faculty members are so much involved. So whether it is possible to develop a software technology park in the campus itself. So because Mr. Prabir Kumar Das, jurisdictional director of STPI, is here. So obviously during the deliberation, so we'll be eager to know from him, and we'll be in touch with him also to give the software development activities in the campus. And because a large number of entrepreneurs are coming out of that. And because in this region, in this southern part of Assam and as well as in the northeast part of India, so if we want to develop our industry or contribute to the industry level, I think software is one of the avenues through which we can reach to the society and we can contribute to the growth of the country for making it self-reliant or Atmanirbhar. So with this, I wish that during today's talk, we'll be getting up new ideas also, and say how this NISP policy we can take care of and implement it at the institute level. With this, I wish today's program a grand success. Thank you.
So, thank you, sir, for your sharing valuable thoughts and a motivational words, so that most of the PG as well as PhD scholars came to know that how we can move ahead. So all that take away the students it will do. May I now request President IIC Professor Talukdar sir to share his views and the activities which are done in NIT Silchar during the past under the banner of IIC, as well as how it can helpful for the innovation and successful development of the startups. Talukdar sir, please.
Sir, unmute, sir. Unmute, sir.
Professor Talukdar, you are muted. So first you unmute yourself.
Sir, just turn off your video and you try to unmute, sir. Sir, just log out and log in again.
That is that one. This one, no? Okay, okay. Okay. No, again, that's a problem. Huh? Yeah, good morning. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, there was an issue that means with my both the systems. So, okay. Yeah, very good morning to everyone. Respected Professor Shivaji Bandopadhyay, Director NIT Silchar, and the most important guest of today's occasion, Sri Praveer Kumar Das. He is an am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And our most important guest of today, Sri Praveer Kumar Das, who is a electrical engineer and then IT scientist, that means for last, that means 40 years. And he, that means on the verge of, that means the retirement. Sri Prasanta Kumar Das, that means our very, that means the own, that means the former student and a big shot in technology as well as that means the business field. Madam Dr. Rucha Desai, Managing Director, that Mr. Rucha Meditech Limited, that Mr. Hyderabad. The deans, head of the departments, my distinguished colleagues, the research scholars, the masters and PG level students, the colleagues from that means other institutes, and the peers from that means various organizations that means who have joined us in this webinar today. So very that means a warm welcome to everyone, and on behalf of the institutions Innovation Council, I first that means welcome that means our director Professor Shivaji Bandopadhyay. Then I also that means welcome that means Sri Prabir Kumar Das, Jurisdictional Director, Software Technology Park of India, and a scientist G in NIT. Then Sri Prasanta Kumar Das, he is the Vice President of Dassault Systems India Limited, and Madam, and I also that means welcome your Madam that means Rucha Desai in today's that means webinar. So the government of India has that means formulated and notified the National Startup Innovation and Startup Policy that means the 2019 on 11th of September that means the 2019. This policy is that means going to address the problem of that means the innovation as well as that means the startup in all the that means the higher educational institutions in the country. Even though that means that there is that means the policy which is already laid down, encouraging that means the students as well as the faculty to that means the go for that means the innovation and that means the to become that means the entrepreneur through that means the startup mechanism. Still that means that there are a lot of doubt, there are a lot of that means the confusion in the mind of that means the stakeholders. So today's webinar is that means the designed to that means the address some of these that means the doubts and some of these confusions which are there in the mind of our faculty as well as that means our students. So hopefully that means the every stakeholder will be that means able to interact with the people who will be that means delivering that means expert talk on the policy and how that means the startup can be that means established. And we have the third speaker that means who herself is the owner of a that means the startup, and so she will surely that means narrate and share her experience with everyone. I believe in the next that means 2 hours, the event will be that means highly interactive, and it will be that means highly beneficial for that means everyone that means who has registered and participated in this event. The Institute's Innovation Council is a body that means which is a part of that means the Ministry of Education's Innovation Cell, and the scheme is being administered by All India Council for the Technical Education. Through this one, a good ecosystem is that means the plan to be that means created in all that means the higher educational institutions, be it engineering college or a that means a medical college or a that means a management institute or a general that means a degree giving institute. And as only way that means our economy and that means our progress can be measured is that how innovative that means we are, and how that means we support that means the innovation. So through the that means the institutions Innovation Council, we support that means the various kind of innovation and startup activities. We have a that means a startup center in the institute which can accommodate that means 12 entrepreneurs, and currently that means 7 entrepreneurs are that means housed in that startup. We do that means offer that means some tangible and some intangible benefit to the owner of that means every startup in the form of that means free accommodation, free electricity, then free air conditioning, free that means data connection, and if required that means some of them that means may also utilize our that means laboratory and other infrastructures. So we invite that means any that means potential that means person having an idea which can be that means translated into that means some kind of a that means product or that means service in our that means startup centers, and we are open to we are open to that means welcome that means anyone and everyone that means who is interested to establish a startup in our that means startup center. So I believe that means today's interaction is that means organized to clear the doubt And two, that means the chalk out, that means the roadmap, how the faculty and student of NIT Silchar can move ahead and utilize the National Innovation and Startup Policy 2019 for the benefit of the institute, there that means the own as well as that of the country. Again, that means I welcome all the that means the speakers, our director, all the participants in this event, and hope that that means that everybody will that means that really that means that enjoy the deliberations and benefit from the deliberations. So thank you all. Over to Dr. Devagare that means the for next event.
So, thank you, sir, for sharing your valuable thoughts and the views on this occasion. May I now request Dr. Yogesh Singh, sir, to proceed ahead with the further part. Yogesh, sir.
Thank you, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir.
Now I would like to introduce our first speaker, Shri Praveen Kumar Das. Shri Praveen Kumar Das is working as a Scientist G and Jurisdictional Director, Northeast and West Bengal of Software Technology Park of India, Ministry of Communication and Information Technology, Government of India. Also, he worked as a Jurisdictional Director, STPI for Bangalore and Bhubaneswar, Patna and Ranchi. He did his MS in Electrical Engineering from University of Terence, USA. He worked as a Superintendent of Police and Managing Director of Assam State Electronics Development Corporation in Assam. He served as the Development Commissioner, Special Economic Zone, Ministry of Commerce, Government of India. Also, he served as the Director of Center for Electronic Design and Technology of India, Director of National Institute of E-Learning and Information Technology, Co-Chairman of Electronic Research and Development Center of India, Extension Center. He has experience of mentoring startup entrepreneurship for more than 20 years. He has a publication in the proceeding of IEEE. So with this, now we'll move to our first talk, and I would like to invite Shri Praveen Kumar Das. Sir, please start with this your presentation, sir.
Thank you, Professor Singh. Distinguished panelist, Professor Bandapadhyay, Director of N.I.T. Silchar, Professor Talukdar, Madam Desai, Professor Devgar, and Prasanta Kumar Das. Distinguished alumni from the institute and a very well-positioned technocrat in the corporate domain of India. And my dear friends and other faculty members, whoever is present in this session. It's definitely a very satisfying occasion to be with you all in this premier institution. The Innovation Council had organized this event, particularly with the backdrop of Government of India's policy for startup and innovation promotion, which was declared in 2019. As many of you are very clearly aware about that, the policy, the objective of the policy was primarily to create the required ecosystem, the ambience in the academic institutions for taking the students forward towards innovation and the startup culture. Because it was strongly felt that they could be the very significant player in terms of creating entrepreneurship in this country, and they could become the real employer rather than they themselves becoming employees in a big way. And there lies the solution for the country, which is burdened with unemployment problems in a very big way. So the only option that lied with the country was to create more and more startups, uh, to grow them to bigger enterprises, and each one creating n number of opportunities for the others. So, a very commendable job done by NIT Silchar in very seriously trying to follow the policy and going ahead with the actions which are required for really making the policy a reality. And in the process, as I have understood, as the director has mentioned, a lot of activities has already been done, and good fruits have been derived out of that. So there is no doubt that NIT Silchar will be a very strong player in the days to come in promoting this policy and contributing to the nation in a big way in not only creating new startups, also in creating, also in innovating a lot of new products, patentable products, and at the same time, as I said, in creating the employment opportunity for other students. So at this very beginning, I would like to state that as Professor Bandyopadhyay, the director, had mentioned, we will seriously look into the matter of extending STPI point of presence in the institution. And we will take up that matter maybe with Professor, and Prasanta can also help me in figuring out how we can do that. So with that, I would basically like to share one cautionary thing for the students, that while trying to become entrepreneur by becoming startups or trying to get into the bandwagon of innovators, it is very essential to check yourself whether your desire to do so is very serious. There have been a lot of instances in many institutions where the relaxations, the support, the promotions that the institutions or other agencies and governments bring in for making the students entrepreneurs are being taken very lightly, or they try to take advantage of that situation. I have seen in Kerala where students were given kind of extra attendance, like say for an engineering college, if minimum required attendance of classes is 70 or 80%, those who are enrolled as startups, they were given a relaxation to bring it down to 40%, 50%, or whatever. So there was a huge rush amongst the students for reaping the benefits of such offers, but in reality, not very seriously thinking of doing something. Second thing is, you may be very serious to do something, but at the same time, it is always better to judge our own credibility. It is very important to consult the mentors. I mean, in the engineering college, the professors are the first mentors, so they can judge what capability lies in the students and in their ideas, whether that is pursuable or whether they have the capability to pursue it. Because self-testing is very essential before stepping up to the next step, because otherwise the students many a times ruin their career because this inspiration comes particularly in the fourth and fifth year of the college. And
उसमें खोलो ना वो
what-
मेरे जो आया था वो check भी करेगा ना उसमें खोलो ना पैसे भी नहीं लग रहे
okay.
हाँ
So usually this kind of aspiration comes in the fourth and fifth years of the engineering colleges. And all of us, we know that actually the core engineering we learn in those days. Basically, second and third year, we have very general type of engineering. And we focus in a particular discipline in the fourth and fifth year. And when they jump into the startup culture, they definitely have to compromise on their curricular activities, and many of them actually do not pick up anything from the core subject. And unfortunate thing is, if they do not become successful startups, they neither become successful employees because they don't know the subject matter at all. So that situation obviously will not happen in an institution like NIT Silchar, because first of all, the students who enter these institutions already have above average ability and seriousness about studies. But this is the situation that happens in most private institutions. So it's better always to keep an eye on that difficult side or the bad side of the thing before proceeding further. I mean, it's nothing negative about it. It's all positive, because if we have, this country has very limited resources. The institution has limited resources. Now, if the institution has focuses on the real, genuine stakeholders, then the results will come out of it. Otherwise, all the resources, whether the institution or the country brings in or the state brings in, if it is divided into much more numbers, because there are takers, so that will be distributed and ultimately they will not get support. So if a startup needs a fund of 5 lakhs for initial prototyping, and there are hundreds of them who are asking for it, and we go by democratic way to distribute it to 50,000 to each, it's useless. That money is of no use at all. So it is very important that that quality consciousness and maintenance of that quality for actually bringing in startups into the platform is essential for really making them successful. So this is just a caution. Actually, I would also like to encourage all the students to look into this avenue, because this is much better avenue than any other avenues in the job field. In any case, whether we get a very good job, even if we get a very good job, most of them get fed up after some time working for 10 years, 15 years. They feel like that, why I am using all my abilities and brain power for somebody just to do very stereotype work. And I could have done much better. And by then they lose the stamina, they lose the confidence or the courage, particularly, to do something new of their own. So it is better to decide early. If there is a possibility, it should be taken as soon as possible. So I would definitely encourage each of you, the students of NIT Silchar, to look into the aspect of entrepreneurship by taking the path of startup. And for that, definitely, as director has very clearly said, that innovation is a must. I mean, because in today's scenario, startups are in huge numbers, and that is not so. It was also earlier. I mean, everybody who cannot do anything else would like to do a business. So businesses were already there. The point is only those businesses succeed which actually have an innovative approach. In doing the same, even doing the same team, even a pawn shop, if they succeed, they that particular panwala definitely has a very innovative approach in doing that job. So innovation can be brought in each and every aspect of our life, but when it is brought in for career making or promotion of the businesses, it works very nicely, very fantastically, and that helps the business person to grow in a very different way. So innovation is a must, and therefore, whether you are a startup or not a startup, the sense of innovation, the culture of innovation can be built into the student's life in any case. So that is another thing the club can promote, not only to do startup, also do pre-startup. I think you have a already activity towards that. That is very important. Pre-startup activities are much more important than startup activities, because during the pre-startup they should be made to feel whether they can or they cannot. Now, as I said, I would like to attract all of you towards startup, but you have to be cautious. So I will share with you our two very recent policies, which will definitely excite you to do something towards that. So we have started two new schemes. One in the form of setting up of center of excellences in different parts of the Northeast. I mean, definitely there have been center of excellences in the country in all STPI locations. We, particularly in the metros, we are trying to put up center of excellences. But as a tier 2 location, mostly tier 2 locations are not competitive with those metros or other IT hubs. But even then, the STPI is under the guidance and support of the Ministry, MIT, Ministry of Electronics and IT. We have already rolled out a scheme for setting up of center of excellences in each of the northeastern locations. So each state headquarters will have one of it, and we have chosen the focus areas with a lot of iterations with the industries present in that location, government and other students and other bodies. And also we have done some formal survey through organizations like CII, who has advised us on different teams, the capacities, the locations. Definitely locations ultimately came out to be the state capitals of the Northeast. So all the 8 northeastern state capitals will have one COE. 3 of them we are already in the process of setting up, and 5 of them we will start maybe by January. So basically, it will be kind of a bouquet of inter-networked center of excellences. They are not standalone, because it will be like a club membership for the centers, COEs, and sort of it will be in different teams, but each supporting the other. The primary objective for setting up of these center of excellences are definitely to give a robust and very effective ecosystem to incubate the technology startups in the specific domains. It will also, our center of excellences will also have 2 other focus areas. One, we will develop sort of a innovation zone in each of the COEs, which can be understood by relating the concept to maker's lab or kind of tinkering lab kind of a situation, where basically, as I said, the pre-startups will be able to do their trials, will be able to talk to people, will try to find out evaluators, And then when actually they find that their idea is meaningful, then they move on to the actually the center of excellence from the innovation zone. So innovation zone will be open to all, irrespective of whether the particular person is a student or a professional or some person not exactly from the domain, anybody, because we have seen that, say, there are different experts in different domains, like a civil engineer may have a very innovative concept to be applied in IT. And so that way we'll attract different streams of people to be associated with the innovation zone and try to create an interaction between them, facilitate them through a maker's lab kind of a situation where they can try to develop a kind of a prototype for experimentation as well. Then we will put up one center, along with the center of excellence, we will put up one e-commerce facilitation area. So e-commerce facilitation zone will basically not only help the guys who are in the center of excellence or associated with center of excellence for some of their products, but also all the other business communities, business people who want to uh, create their own e-commerce presence. Say whether it is a jute factory or a potato seller or whoever. I mean, if they want to get into the e-commerce domain, they will be able to come to this location, express their requirement, take technical support, take part in developing their e-commerce facilitation, from either the contents, the portal, the connectivities, the linkages with the market, and then also payment processes and things like that. So those kind of facilitation will be done in this location. So all these 8 locations will have a kind of a honeycomb of these 3 things: center of excellence, e-commerce facilitation, as well as innovation zone. This is a very unique concept. We have worked out for Northeast only. Nowhere else this concept is there. So we are bringing in this kind of a service for Northeast. That, as I say, that we will look into sort of different domains. So as I said, one in Guwahati particularly will be on IoT application in agriculture and allied fields. For the Shillong, it will be in animation and VFX. For Imphal, it will be emerging technologies like AR, VR. And these 3 has already been rolled out. We are in the process of setting up, and we have already done a round of selection for the startups. Then other 5 where we are yet to start the activities are in Aizawl, that would be in gaming. Then data analytics in Agartala, GIS and drone in Itanagar, drone application in Itanagar, graphics designing and application in Kohima, and IT in healthcare in Gangtok. So these domains will be in different places. And what are the inclusions in the scheme? Basically, each of these locations will have their domain-specific physical lab facility. So all the technology support that is required will be put in the labs. It will be open to the selected startups, free of cost, and we will continuously tune it to the requirement of the startups. Like, for example, I am happy to share with you that with the first round of selected people, we have asked them about the requirement of technological requirement they would like to have in the lab. And we have listed them, we have included them in our procurement and setup list. So that's how we will continuously evaluate the requirement of the specific selected party, and then we will try to provide all hard and soft support to them. So the lab definitely will be state of the art, round the clock, fully secure network and things like that will be definitely there. Then inclusions also include direct funding. Government of India has been very kind, particularly only for the Northeastern Center of Excellences, to provide support to STPI for funding them, funding the selected startups. So we will go up to the extent of 25 lakhs and in 3 stages. In the stage of proof of concept, we will provide them about 5 lakhs. Then in the prototyping stage, we will provide 15 lakhs. And in the marketing stage, we will provide another 5 lakhs. Apart from that, we will bring in fact, we have already created for these 3 locations, we have created a pool of mentors who we will connect to these startups in groups or in individual level. And then if the startups have some specific mentors to be reached, we will mediate for them to bring that mentor, because they do not, at many a times, they do not have the reach to the national level or even global level mentors, which we can bring in for their consultation and guidance. And apart from the technology part, we will bring in all kind of mentors for business development, mentors for marketing, and mentors for like in-house issues, finance, and business plan creation, and things like that. So apart from that, we have already signed up with some organization for supporting these guys in their IPR creations, in patenting and all that. Those supports will be provided. Then we also would support their day-to-day issues, like in their administration, HR management, for financial and legal issues particularly. So we will we'll keep empaneled experts to be provided service to the startups in their struggles. So who can apply to be a startup in our in this scheme? Anybody, actually anybody can do, only if they are selected. If they are selected and they are enrolled for the support, then they will have to form a company, because for all kind of future formalities, we will need them to be a company, and they have to form a company within 3 months of their selection. We are not making it mandatory for them to become a company even before the selection. So we will allow them to be in the incubation space for a very long time. Although globally 1 year is good enough, and even in places like Silicon Valley, people talk about 6 months incubation should be good enough. But we understand that in Northeast we need more time. And for that we will allow them to up to the extent of 3 years. But that should not be the objective. So the continuous monitoring by the project management groups and other people will form different committees. We have in fact already done that, and feedbacks from the mentors and all that. We will try to accelerate their growth so that they can do success within 6 months to 1 year, because more residency should not be desirable, and that is why they should not look at that figure. They should try to accelerate their growth as much as possible. For selection, how do we select? We go through an advertisements in different medias, and obviously in our particular website. the whole concept, the whole COE is defined as octane. Octane, basically, it is meaning 8 northeastern states. Octa Any. Octa Any, Octa Northeast is the octane, and the name of the scheme is octane. So we have a site dedicatedly for that octane. So all of you can visit that. Octane.stpi.in is the site, and through that site, continuous notifications will be coming in, and rounds of selections will happen. In the first round, which we have just completed, we have selected about 20 for these 3 locations, Guwahati, Shillong, and Imphal. For these locations, we will go ahead and do further selection. Sorry, I forgot to put the power on. So, so basically, that continuous process of selection, and you can look for the next round as soon as it comes, and usually will come in 3 months. Every 3 months, we will come for a round of selection, and the application will be online. Shortlisting will be done on the basis of the applications, and then they will be asked for pitching. We will have 2 levels of pitching. The initial level of pitching will have bigger number, and then out of that we will do a shortlisting again, and finally we will select them. And even during the process of selection, we have been mentoring how to pitch properly, because after the first round of pitching, we have observed that many of these startups fail to present the most pertinent point of their project, or what they actually are aiming at, and what is the selling point. So we are trying to mentor them even for pitching for the final round, and subsequent accelerator program we will start now. After the selection, we will have an accelerator program of grooming them as much as possible. So this is all about Octane. Similarly, we have another scheme launched during the last 6 months, that is NGIS, Next Generation Incubation Services. So NGIS is not dedicatedly for Northeast. It is for 10 Tier 2 cities in the country. It's directly announced by the ministry, but in any case, it will be implemented by STPI again. In this scheme, we have 2 locations already in that list of 10 locations in the country, but the location doesn't matter here. Location is only for tagging the startup to a particular location. So anybody can apply, and even we will be allowing virtual presence in from some other locations. So you can take part in NGIS. Again, for NGIS, you can look for the details in ngis.stpi.in. NGIS, Next Generation Incubation Services. And Octane, I said, Octane, the spelling is Octane, Octane, standard Octane. So you can look there for the details. The difference between, particularly the difference between the Octane and NGIS is Octane is focusing on a domain. It will be mostly lab-based, and we will primarily look for product development or very unique service development. But as far as NGIS is concerned, it is open to any kind of startup, promising startup, in a very wide area of wide domains. So if you see the list, you see that almost all domains have been allowed, but the focus will be societal application. So application has to be societal, and if that is met, then you can qualify for the NGIS. So almost similar benefits will be given. Even funding will be provided in NGIS. So these two schemes will be very attractive for the new entrepreneurs, new startups who are already trying to grow or is in the process of growing, and that will be a big support. So that's what I wanted to share with you actually today. And if you have further questions, then I can attend to that maybe after all the speakers complete their round. So thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, sir, for your kind words and the experience you have and you shared with our participants and faculty members and colleagues. So now I would like to introduce our next speaker, Sri Prasanta Kumar Das. Sri Prasanta Kumar Das is a technocrat and a business leader with 20 years of industry leadership experience with the Hewlett Packard, Oracle, Gartner Consulting, Tata Consultancy Services across multiple geographies, and presently working with Dassault System in the area of digital transformation based out of Gurgaon, India. Sri Prasanta advises large enterprises and government on digital transformation and governance reforms strategy with digital intervention. Sri Prasanta is a regular visitor to Engineering and Management Academy Institution and keynote speaker in conferences of AI and digital transformation. Sri Prasanta is a AIMAYLC mentor and mentoring few AI startup in the field of agriculture, pharma, biomed, and public sector transformations. Sri Prasanta is nurturing an upcoming non-profit Prafulla Ranjan Das Institute, which will serve as a digital knowledge platform for good governance, human rights, and climate change. Now we'll move to our second talk, and I would like to invite Sri Prasanta Kumar Das for enlightening us. Thank you, sir. Please, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Jogesh, for the introduction. Respected, Director and Professor Shivaji Bandyopadhyay, sir. Respected Prabir Kumar Das, sir, for your kind acceptance to part of this, and it was absolutely amazing that such a gathering, august gathering, got to know what we can be done for the Northeast. And also my all very dear, professors of and faculties and students of N.I.T. Silchar, mentioning Mr. Fazal, Professor Fazal, Dr. Wasim, Dr. Ashish, and all the professors. And N.I.T. Silchar puts a special place in my heart. I have additional responsibility for NITs as well as for Northeast, because these two places I represent not in India and outside the world as well. So and every time, and I put it first that because Northeast also needs to be special mention everywhere I follow, and I consistently doing it for last 28 years of my experience. And I love to do it for passion, not for money. And I'm from Tejpur, Assam. I always also mention that. So that's why it keeps me, and I always come back and go back to NITS every time, which the 4 years of my life, which has shaped my life actually. All this humility, I lost the remoteness. That's the place which I got all my, values and virtues. Now, since today it's a, workshop. I was told. Normally I speak, extempore. I just created some few slides. I thought that if I can share those points, and very specifically it was mentioned that it is on the NISP and decoding NISP and what are the areas you can do. I'm not here to speak on any policies. Neither I want here to speak on how the organization or the needs as an institution can provide to these people. They've been doing it. They have a startup center. I visited the institute, and I have seen this a wonderful setup, wonderful faculties, great culture, and which has been proven for the last few months. If you are following the news, is that it's just going by the ranks and ranks everywhere, right from green to putting it. I like to really thank the director sir, and taking so much of personal, attention into it. And I've been seeing that alumni worldwide is also doing it, and they've been all proud of, the NIT Silchar. So first of all, congratulations to all the ratings you have been getting. It is my small submission right now to whatever capacity I have, whatever I learned to share back to you. And I'm very fortunate to also, mentoring. When I say mentoring, it's a word again, normally is being too much abused right now, like a consulting word being abused, services word being abused. So these are the 4 or 5, I'll not share those, but few startups from ideation to, putting up a business plan and making it profitable and also providing the employment to the people. And the thing is that get employed or you provide employment. So in these areas, I've been, and Praveer sir has been kind enough to guide one of my startup expert, and they have been doing fantastical, which has just got inaugurated last week, a few days back by IIT Delhi director, and it will be 250 agriculturists or the farmers are being already used, and I'm sure we'll get to continuing support from Praveer sir and the government of India to do that, and also it has got students of real collaboration from the NIT Silchar, IIT Guwahati, and all Dibrugarh University. And it is also in the fintech and agri domain, as this areas mentioned by Praveer sir on drones, IoT, precision agriculture, everything is involved and is all through mobility. So I'm not going to talk on that. So I'd like to share, I'll take only 10, 15, 20 minutes, or you can stop me anytime if you feel that this is getting nowhere or you're not finding it any value, you can stop me as well. So it's a privilege for me to share with you what I've created. In the morning only I did it, this uh, stuff. Can you see my screen if you...
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, screen is visible.
You can see my screen, correct? Okay.
Yeah.
So, just a minute, let me... Oh, just due to the bandwidth, just a minute.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay. So you can see the screen that I have not done anything. None of words is mine. This is from the NISP only, and I'm neither going to read it out each of the lines here. So this is the 10 points which has been part of the our NISP 2019, and if you see that like from strategies to entrepreneurial impact assessment and all. I'm just going to highlight which has been highlighted, like ownership rights of technologies, innovation pipeline or pathway for entrepreneurs, or the learning intervention for entrepreneurship development or collaboration co-creation. So I like to put some highlights and thoughts into that area. And if you further put it across, I'll just say to Dilbert, if you see that our project plan is so complicated that a failure is assured. So that means we have to make sure this is very, very understandable, and we have to make sure that this is actionable, and also need a minimum intervention. So the innovation or the intellectual capability being demonstrated, so that we can only involve the policymakers or institute and to the point, and so that it helps us. Now, if I'm sure all of you has gone through our NIC vision, and if you see that there, want to make it a 5 trillion economy for Atmanirbhar and other, making India and all. So there are a few vision, what is mentioned. So again, from this vision, I'm going to only take up the few points, like the research and innovation and deep technology entrepreneurships, which are the technology licensing, like IPR, and how the entrepreneurship can be a career option. I'll speak in two things. When we studied and passed in 1992, 28 years back, we didn't have any option to take the entrepreneurship or career option, that too from the Northeastern, because we are not having even a communication or how to connect all the people. Right now we have all the platforms, and these facilities are available, and to the students, to the faculties, to the institutes. Earlier it was everything through a by mail, physical mail system, and people today Praveer sir is here. I respect him because I know how he is doing, for the Northeast, of course, which is his domicile, and also he's doing for the country. He has been also the STPI is in Bangalore and Calcutta and other places. So question is career as an option. Today students have got a immense opportunity. It is just that how they can bring a synergy into that. And while all these things, though it is in the last point, last slide, last word, financially successful. I understand as a policymaker or institute, the financial successful word comes the last, but there's a corporate or a business matter that becomes the, first. Anything you do, anything is a career or provide, it has to be financially successful. Now, why I just put these words to see that I think Pravir sir also agree on. I have seen in my things. I keep on getting requests on mentorship of lot of startups or different AI or high tech or areas, and people are all go by the agri tech, fintech, med tech, pharma tech, and all those stuffs. But qualification at every level is equally important, and I think even qualification not necessarily by the policymakers or the institutes or faculties, even the students who would like to become entrepreneur or through startup, it is very equally important they get the right input, right data until it get qualified to the last level, so they follow up the full cycle of initiation to become a successful spinner. A mentor has a huge role, our institute has a huge role to even the guide those startup ideas. So basically, it is equally important that and it has been very much highlighted in Pravir sir's speech in just in discussions that it has to be financially viable. It has to be the ideation has to be absolutely genuine, like how we can qualify. No, I'll just take it through a very small, if anyone into this area of studies will automatically guess which business study or case study I've taken, but I'm not naming it here, but I just taken. So basically articulating and identifying the problem starts, if for even for the mentors or mentorship is equally important if they're able to identify the right problems or qualify the right problems. And or even the right that problems identification is not the only issue in that the students or the startup community or faculty community is able to find out a solution which will make they save money or or they make money or either of them, if you share cultural part of it. So it goes through a huge qualification process, and the students when bring up to this level for a start to get into the policy benefits or institutional infrastructural support, they also students or faculties also need to understand that what is this problem or is been resolved by somebody else or not. I just took it to one particular this startup which is very famous. Now it has become a unicorn or it become a big multi-billion-dollar valuation. So they've tried to find out, whether price is the important concern for the customers or how they stay connected or how they're going to access it. So they identified the problem. Now they also find out a solution that it is going to provide, this particular activity, and which is backed up by a market validation. I mean, market validation means there's enough research should support that this problem exists, and this problem, the solution to this problem can be monetized and can also address the problem. It also has to be supported by the market size, that how this, it's not there is a problem, there is a solution, and there is also but there is no market, so it doesn't make any sense if you resolve a problem, because we are here to solve problems every day, right from morning, and because we are here to provide solutions for every problem. Now this particular solution has a market size and it can be scalable. Now when I say market size and scalable, I also keep on getting multiple also requests, which is just an idea, and just an idea for maybe is want to see that either I want to put it, but there is no enough market or the enough product availability. I mean, product not necessarily physical product. It can be an idea, it can be a solution, it can be a consulting, it can be offerings. So there is a product which will provide the solution and which can actually have a large market size. So that means uh, it is scalable enough for growth and is also profitable enough to sustain. Now, when I say that when you have a product, now you also need to have a business model. Now, this I'm speaking before you actually get into these startup ideas, or I'm sure this is every innovation labs or every startup ideas being they follow this. But since it's in a workshop today, and a lot of students and faculties are there, I thought that it will be appropriate for me put up into the points very systematic way. Now, you also need to mention that we also need to, the startup is going to provide a business model and which will make some money out of this, is a part transactions. This is a case studies I made it, I'll let you know what is that case study I try to put it. So there is a money which is will get generated from every transactions or every products, and there is a need. So we just mentioned the problem statement, solution, market validation supported by market size, and also the product availability, which can be made by the startup or the people individual within this company. It's not a big which is doable. And within the product, it can be a software product, it can be digital product, it can be physical. I mean, it's an object. So once you have that, everything, right from the business model to problem statement to customers and all, we need to have market adoptions. Like, what is our plan and the market? So here all these stages, different types of mentorship or support structure is working right now. Fortunately, with the present government, appreciating and promoting this entrepreneurship culture within our society and with the student communities. So market adoption and also they have to have enough work, the competition and competitive analysis. Now, when Professor was talking about our HCPI and the Octane and as well as the national initiatives, it is very clear that before we go to them or before we go to those, we need to be very, very clear that how much time we are spending and, to do this part of it. This is extensive process. Like when I also choose that any startup mentorship to be done, some ideas has been generated by me. I have trying to work with my team, and also sometimes when try to get these ideas and we ask that what next, basically follow every part of it, then everything is clear and you can actually virtually build your enterprise before you be taking a shape. Yes, there are issues will be there, then financial constraints. Doing this activity qualification process, you actually don't need money, and the students or the faculty is a desk job, it's an experience job. It is a collaborative efforts among the right set of people putting their minds together, and where the industry also comes in, industry mentors also can be approached. And as an organization, in my organization, present also helping a lot of people to providing those ideas and also validating it. And different organizations I worked in the past has also seen that they have been providing that. So I always like to provide a very, very important point, and which is the qualification of ideas and how it will get navigated through the completion process, and engage policymakers, engage the institutions, engage for funding or bank. then it will be a smooth flow. So it's exactly the same thing, more you spend time in ideation and more you spend time in qualifying it, you'll have a lesser time to actuation and you have a less time to execute it. And that's the success will come out of that. If the planning has been made up to the every thick and thin, of the at the fiber level. Now, when I say that, every problem is that everybody will come out with the money, so that you have to spend money to make money, correct? So that's I have seen a lot of people say, I want to raise fund, I want to do a VC funding, I want to have a seed funding, I want to do this. But problem is the where to start. If you start asking for money fast, asking for a startup space at NIT Silchar Startup Center, maybe they will get it. But what happens after you sit down there and what is the next phase? So basically, all this ideation to, first thing is the qualification at a, initiation level. I'm not asking here, not speaking like qualification to be done by the institute or the policymaker. I say that the people who will be interested that, I like to this startup. So when he have this ideation, he qualifies, he also write to a very write a structured plan. Like, basically you need to create the whole story in a very concise format. Like he had to very critically mention what is the background, what is the strategic fit. So, and I can have a 20 ideas and 20 business plans across put together, and I had to create this right structured plan for 10 plans. Then I prioritize myself that what is the now where I need the help, where I can make it. So majority of the startup plans I have been seeing that gets failed sometime, or the lot of resources being consumed, maybe denying the resources for others, maybe the proper. So it's very clear that 2 points I want to today discuss here or talk about. One is the qualification of ideas at the initiation level itself, and second thing is that how I put up a good writing pitch, basically very clear cut, that what is the goal I'm to achieve into that, and this all can happen at the individual level without seeking any cost or infrastructure or price or I mean funding. One this being done, I think this can take it quickest way to become a successful startup. Basically, it should have a goal very clearly that, and the goal means what I mentioned in the previous discussion, that ideation to the startup completely what we want to do. It is backed by research. It should have a success metrics like how the user experience will happen, how the customer experience will happen, and very clear-cut assumptions and clear out of scope discussions. Like it should not happen that once you make it a scope and anybody can interfere and make it added to it. And writing user stories, lot of user interactions, what is there, and and relevant technology adoptions. I mentioned relevant, not the best. I said people should start with the open source, find it out, evaluate, do it depending on the market size. Then automatically cost optimization will happen. So basically, you have to take a minimalistic view, and everybody will like it. It will not go through a multiple review process. Now the McKinsey has been talking like that, like winning formula, building new business. It combines the methods and pace of successful tech startup. Like if you're into a long-standing companies, we have to do everything has to be doing differently. Everything's we need not to carry like unnecessary burdens of mindset, process, the IT. So what I wanted to mention that is very clear at this startup. It's not a startup. Is not a it's not a game. It's a passion, and it can be lead to a multi million, multi-billion, and also provide the employment for many people. Now, last but one, I'd like to mention that when you have actually successfully building up those particular things, I'm just showing it. This is nothing a presentation. This just happening. Like lot of government of India is showing a lot of competitions like hackathons. Recently, this is the recent one. Today's 19th is the last day. With the Canadian and the Indian find, mentorship program is happening, please participate. People may reject it, and very small, boy qualification, and create the pitch, do it and participate, because that will give the lot of, and is the quality doesn't need a, advertisement, and people will automatically. So this is one of the things which is in the last date of application, like people can really get money, people which will before the Ratan Tatas and all the people, and this is very structured. If you see government, this is from the government of India's initiative only. I'm not sure how many people in the scheme have seen that or got this idea. So it's very structured, steps are mentioned. So that's why sometimes when you put up that, we don't have a support, there is huge enough ecosystem support is available right now with government of India, with state governments, with institutes. And I think we have to now leverage, but before leveraging is not jumping and try to find out that what is the idea has been qualified in the right set of people and right mentorship is provided. So with this, I just thought that, I'll just put a very in 25 minutes, I thought that let me put it in a very structured way. And here it is. So I can take the questions after the other August speakers speak. And with this, I finish my presentation. Yes, I'm always available for any discussions, anything, by mail or Twitter, or I make myself available any point of time. Thank you so much. Thank you. Over to.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for your encouraged presentation for our members and colleagues and students. Now I would like to introduce our last speaker, Mrs. Rucha Desai. So she has done her Bachelor of Technology in Computer Science from Jawaharlal Nehru Technical University, Hyderabad, and his master degree in from Shadesan Institute of Management Study Research and Development, affiliated to University of Mumbai, Maharashtra. She has some work experience. Rucha Chemtech in the position of director, and it works involves the Department of Finance, Operation and Supply Chain Management and Marketing. Currently, she is working in the Rucha Meditech Private Limited as a managing director from 2018, and her work involved managing all the department finance, operation, and supply chain. So, with this, I would like to invite Mrs. Rucha Desai to participate in this workshop. Thank you, ma'am, and please carry on.
Good afternoon, everybody. I feel slightly out of place here because everybody is having rich experience here, and I think I'm very, very, having very less experience compared to what Prasanta sir and Prabir sir have it. But I would thank NIT Silchar to give me an opportunity that they have chosen, that I can maybe at least give some insight into the journey that I have been through. So I am a BTech MBA, and I have joined, like I've started this thing around 10 years back. So it's 10 years, it's been a journey. So I will be giving you a real time experience of what I have encountered in the previous 10 years. And I have started at a point where all these policies didn't exist. Okay. And entrepreneurship was something which is it was a novice word. So, and I will show you in my slide also, where it was a common factor to think that अरे job नहीं मिला होगा, कुछ placement नहीं हुआ होगा college में, अपने पापा ने business में बिठा दिया, kind of a thing. So that is a common notion that generally happens. Now it has become a big thing having your own startups, but that time it wasn't so. So 1 minute. So I'll just be sharing my slide to start up with. So 1 second, sir. Yeah, so I already said before that I am an engineer MBA, and I from the campus I was placed into HCL Technologies Noida, and I was working there for some few months, and I didn't enjoy the work. That's when I took a call that no, I have to go back. My dad was into a business already, so I am not a first generation entrepreneur, but he was into a different line of business, but having certain kind of an experience in the medical line, healthcare industry. And that's why this is one of the reasons why I chose to be in the healthcare industries too. Now, as coming to the same point, like, that earlier, this was the main thing, like, why entrepreneurship? So it was like, you didn't get a proper job, you were not from a good college, and companies didn't come for your placement and all. But very frankly, my reality is I've left a corporate job. I had a passion to do business, and I was inspired by my dad, his hardworking style, and all that. And I am here by choice and not by force, which was a notion about 10 years back. So definitely for any time to start a business model, ROI plan, everything is important, but not the key main important ingredient. For me, it's always that you need to see whether you have sound finance system, because finally at the end of the day, you without the funding and finance, you will not be able to move forward. And second thing is a concrete product. Like, I will give a small example. Now I am in a healthcare industry where I am servicing certain products which are used pre surgeries. So during the current lockdown, so always everybody thinks that healthcare sector is the most flourishing market, and because of usko to kabhi downtime nahi aayega. But during the current pandemic, because surgeries in the month of May and June, the surgeries had come down to 5%. So we were also hugely affected because of the same, because we didn't like our products were not needed at that particular time. So that's the reason, even, but we survived through that phase because of our medical contacts. And how to choose a product, like, see, the product right now, many people were selling sanitizers, PPEs, and all these products also. Very frankly, that's a very short term business. It's not something which is long term, because there were times where PPEs were sold at 800 rupees also and have come down to 120 rupees also. So you need to check out your product, the longevity of your product, the innovation of your product. So my understanding is funding and product is the most important aspect to start any business. So any business, what I understand is, I'll put it into a very simple slide. And one more thing is, I am talking in terms of a supply chain business. So because that is what I have an experience into. So as I said earlier, finance is important, product is important, time management for our kind of an industry where time is very precious in terms of on time deliveries. So how your manpower is managing that, how your stock is coming, all these core products involve our basic structure of the business. Finance, biggest thing is capital management, budgeting your daily cash flow management, whether your cash, when you're starting up, we need to have whether you have sufficient funds to sustain at least for 9 to 12 months, because turnaround times are very long at times. For us in our industry, hospitals at sometimes pay you even from 9 to 12 months, and there are certain clientele which is even for 1 month. Nobody is going to give you advance. So on that aspect, capital management, whether you have funds to sustain for at least a year, is very important. Going by external funds, like, when you want to start, you have this angel investor, these bank loans, everything. I didn't start with that. One, because I started small and then I have scaled up. So I didn't need a huge investment. Unlike manufacturing setups where you need huge investments. So mine wasn't like that. But I have observed that if you take bank loans, angel investors, you need to see about the ROI, because once you take a loan, the next one, the EMI clock starts ticking. So for that thing, you have to take your loan very wisely. Considering again cash flow management, very, very important, because proper budgeting and planning are very critical to maintain a cash. There will be certain sudden requirements for some stock shortages. You need to have some reserve funds with you, because if reserve funds are not there at that particular aspect, when you are a startup, your credibility in the market is very less. So for that reason, you need to have proper reserve funds also. Understand and anticipate deep in your products, because generally, however we plan, even in the normal life also, whenever we are planning something, it never goes as per our plans. So as per that, we need to understand the delays are going to happen. My dad had once told me that you need to always bargain with your supplier rather than your buyer, because supplier gives you the credit period, he gives you the cost pricing. You can buy bargain, but your selling price is fixed, because in selling price you can't do negotiation much because you have competitors. But during the supplier type of a bargaining is much more critical for you to succeed. So bargain on your credit periods. Government policies also affect a lot. Like we were in a system in which like you in that particular time you had the CST and VAT was existing. So for CST, so many hospitals were not giving us business because they didn't want, like they were not getting any input credits out of that. So it was considered as an expense. Then that C form generation. So you need to see whether those government policies are going to affect the area of your businesses, the taxation structures, all that things. So a basic idea of entire things related to money before you start up, an analysis of that will become very, very crucial for you to start up and succeed into it. I spoke about time management. Time management, I always think hard work is much better than smart smart work is much better than the hard work, because doing when you're initially starting up, you have a lot of limited resources in terms of people, in terms of infrastructure. So today I have almost about 14 employees. When I've started, I had just one. So at that particular time, to channelize which route he is going to go, how effectively it is going to happen. So maintaining stocks, everything. So I mean, it was more to do smart work had to be done at a proper time. Second thing is, as you get people, you will have to start learning to delegate the work. So having resources and not delegating work to them is of no use again. But for delegating, you'll have to train them so that they come at least up to your expectations of work. So for that reason, again, training and delegating work properly is important. Training and regularly training them, because there will be some updates that are happening. So seeing that, they are able to do that. You need to be setting your weekly goals, monthly goals, because when you're in a startup environment, it's not just about sales. You are not just doing one department work. You're not doing only marketing and sales, or you're not doing just HR, you're not doing just finance, you're doing everything. So you need to set up goals in terms of whether I am, whatever goal I have set for all these different directions, am I completing that or not? And my auditor always says, leave your core competence, you concentrate on your core competencies. Let the other things be done by others. So once you grow, still don't continue doing the same thing again and again. Delegate work, concentrate on your core competencies, and employ for the rest of the things. This is a typical, Kotler taught us for MBA students. It's like, kuch bhi bikta hai, bechne wala hona chahiye, kind of a thing. So identifying the right industry, identifying the problem to be solved, identifying the right product. I actually told this just a couple of minutes back, the PP and the sanitizer example. It's like there was about a few months back, maybe 6 months back, sanitizer had become something which is like, very, very essential commodity. Today you're finding it, people are also selling it on the traffic signals. I'm not talking about quality, I'm talking about availability. So availability causes the prices to fall down. So then your margins are going to be affected. So right industry, at my time, I had like the research that I did was there were three industries which even today are thriving. One is food, one is education, and the other one is healthcare. So I chose healthcare only because, as I told you, my father had a previous experience and we were located in Hyderabad. So, Hyderabad is a pharma hub. It has a lot of corporate hospitals. Apollo Group, one of the biggest groups in India, is based out of here. So, for that reason, we chose I chose the healthcare industry. So, any person who's getting up into a startup mode has to identify what are the strengths and weaknesses. Again, coming to the MBA terminology, it's like SWOT analysis of your product, of your resources, so that you understand what exactly is going to be sold. So, product is your identity. It will place you where you are in the market. Servicing the product is coming second. If you have the product, you can create infrastructure around it, but the product has to be in place first. Again, coming to this manpower management. See, initially when we started up, so it's like, you don't have huge budgets to employ a huge workforce or even quality workforce. So in my kind of an environment, I need both trained people and unskilled laborers also. Skilled, I mean, the trained ones basically for the marketing activities or the operation related, accounts related work and all. And if I want experienced candidates, they come at a cost at that particular time. So, getting whatever best you have and trying to extract the thing from it, the best thing from it was very important. So we initially, as I told, we just started with one, and I was taking care of the accounts related, finance related, marketing related, all these items. Slowly, I have grown my team where I could spend to get better workforce. But earlier that was not the issue. So initially, when we are starting up, we have to be mentally prepared that
I think yes, very good performance. Um,
Yes,
Silchar Desai have
Yes,
some
sir.
problem with power cut. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So again, as I said, I was coming to the point saying skilled workforce. Apart from that, there's a lot of unskilled laborers that also is required when you're into a supply chain management business. So they would not be very educated, and their core interest is only the money that they receive. They are ready to do any kind of work. That's the reason why they might shift jobs also easily. So you must have heard these traditional answers, कि आज गाँव जाना है और I am not keeping well, मेरे घर पे झगड़ा हुआ, ये all those things. So seeing that they actually report on time, because your work, your commitments are dependent on them. So for that reason, managing all those things also is like, very, very paramount. Then we had, yeah. So also I in the process, you need to develop your workforce that apart from being a smart worker, they also need to be loyal to you because you've trained them extensively. So I have certain people in my company now who are like 10 years old, 5 years old, because we have certainly retained them over a period of time so that we'll be able to, they can be an asset for us. So manpower will also become a biggest asset to you in the future. Stock management again is very extensive and very, very important because initially you do not have sufficient capital to have huge stocks. And being in an industry healthcare where we, as I told you before surgeries, we are using these products, so they are definitely important. So there will be like, a time where you will not have sufficient amount of stocks. And then it will be like, it's upon your relationship with the end users and with the hospitals, how you're going to tackle that also. If short supplies happen, how's your relationship? The suppliers are again going to be dependent on the finance. If your credibility has been proved in terms of the credit period, whether you're adhering to it or not, all those things. So stock management also becomes very important. Reorder levels of stock have to be set because you need to have an analysis, a week to week analysis initially, because you can't overstock, you can't understock. Also, in our kind of industry, expiry dates are very important. So, non-moving stocks, expiry dates of the stock, movement analysis of the stock, all these things, short expiry stocks have to be finished first. So, a lot of back-end work also needs to be taken care for the stock kind of a situation. So, how we have grown, or how if any startup to become a success has to manage all these kind of a things. They have to be they are going to be supply delays. Even if you don't want them to happen, they are definitely going to happen. There are going to be delays in payments. Government reforms. This is a classic example. Like earlier, we were in like we are based out of Hyderabad, so we get our materials from Turkey. So when the material is landing at the Hyderabad port, okay, the HSN code that is being applied by the officer here is different, and my competitor, his HSN code in Bangalore is different. So his GST is falling at 12% and my GST is falling at 18%. So hospitals don't get any input credit for this. So when they are not getting, they are like considering that 6% is an extra cost for them. So all these things, these small things which we think that is it's we are paying to the government. Why should I be bothered? But finally, you have to face the end customer. When you're facing the end customer, they are just going to talk in terms of, I am getting at 18%. How are you solving your story behind? I really do not know. So you need to manage that government kind of policy changes. Competition, definitely, again saying the same thing. What is happening even at the Bangalore port or the Delhi port? That also report, we have to keep an analysis about the same, because what might affect, we really do not know. Now, as we have grown, we have I have specifically put this natural calamities, which might look a bit of out of place in this slide. Hello? Yeah, so this might look a bit of out of place here. See, when I had initially started up, I had very little stock. So I was placing it up in small places. Now, as our requirements have grown, we have almost about 4,000 square feet of space. Recently, Hyderabad was faced with some flood problems. So our godown got flooded with water. And this has happened almost like about it started raining very heavily at 11 p.m. in the night, so the office is closed. And in that midnight timing, the water started coming up. We had to get our staff in the morning at 5 a.m., start vacating the place to some extent and shifting to a new place, which is again may not as per your requirements and all this. Now, how do you handle this natural calamities in terms of an supply chain business? So, as I said, financial discipline is important. When I started, I never had the money for any stock insurance. But today, when I've grown, I have understood the importance of it, and now I have a stock insurance. So, when the calamity happened, also, I was really not very scared because my entire stock was insured. So this is a journey which is out of so many years of financial discipline that we have maintained, that we have started investing in these kind of things. So one more important thing for any element of growth is customer relationship, because we are in an environment where or actually rather this has become a common norm in the industry that वो भी हिंदी में proverb है, नजर हटी दुर्घटना घटी. So it's like you have to have a continuous vision on what the client is doing. So once what the client is doing, is any competition entering, how you're supposed to retain him. I will not say I'm a completely ethical company, because that doesn't allow me to say. Okay, but then that is an important part of it. And apart from that, what do you say? There are so many other things. Like today, one of my client, in hospitals, most of the nurses are almost 50% of the nurses you can consider are Christians. So Christmas is coming. So we're organizing a small Christmas party for them. Today, my team is organizing for them a Christmas party. So all these strategies that you will have to take into force so that your customer is retained. So we have been focusing on all these things so that we are able to grow and also sustain the growth. That's why. So this is a small thing of how we have started. I hope that it inspires a few of them, because people usually have and knows that, yeah, I should start up, but there will be something which will hold you back. You will have the self-doubt that, will I be able to do it? Will I be able to run through this? Will I be able to reach to the end of the tunnel? So I understand there is no end to the tunnel. It's a journey. We need to appreciate the journey and enjoy the journey. So see, this is the setup. 1990s, the government hospitals, and they were much priority, and they were not corporate hospitals too much. From 2000 onwards, the corporate hospitals started coming. So we are into more of the infection control range of products, and corporate hospitals started adopting it. So that really made us feel interested in these kind of products, and that's why this was one of the major reasons why we chose the infection control line of products. So that's my father. We were the only two people who have started in 2010 this particular line of business, and we were operating from a small one-room office space. And just one guy under us. There are times when I myself done some deliveries to the hospitals also, because there was no proper manpower, less amount of manpower. So this is just a bit of thing as how we have moved. It's a very common product, how the green color cloth which is used for all the instruments wrapping, and now we've moved to this infection control range. So how packaging products and all have changed the infection control situation, which helped us grow, because people started understanding the importance of infection control. So that's how in 2010 we had a monthly business of about 5,000, and 13 we started bidding for tenders, corporate hospitals. So Apollo Group, Yashoda Group, Krishna Group, Columbia Asia. These are some of our clients. And 2015 we opened a branch office in Calcutta to cover the eastern region. So from there, we take care of the operations from Guwahati and Bhubaneswar, Jamshedpur, all those regions. And 2020, this year, we've clocked a turnover of 10 crore rupees. and we are servicing about 300 plus hospitals and 100 plus pharma customers. So this is a vision. So if there is a dream, it can be achieved, but financial discipline is very important. You need to work at the ground level, very, very important, because ये काम मेरे से नहीं होगा, वो डिक्शनरी में नहीं होना चाहिए entrepreneurs के. Because every work has to be done, right from sweeping the floor to becoming the MD of the company. So this has been a wonderful journey, lots of ups, lots of downs, but yeah, an exciting journey. I don't regret even a single minute of what I'm doing. That's it from my side. Any questions, you're more than free to ask me. That's my team now. From a one member team, this is what we are. Yeah.
Yogesh.
Thank you very much for your inspiring story, ma'am, and it really helps to the audience. And now I would like to invite for questions if any participants have any questions.
We have that wonderful that is session, one from Kumar Das, one from Prasanta Das, and wrapped up so wonderfully by Ma'am Rucha. So I now that means I invite that means any kind of that means a comment or question from my colleagues and others who are present. Any question?
Praveen Kumar sir, you have said that some focus areas are that means identified for the center of excellence in Northeast. So can you just highlight what are the focus areas which are there in the center of excellence?
Yeah. I had mentioned that. Nevertheless, I will mention it once again. For Guwahati, IoT application, agri and related. For Shillong, it will be animation and VFX. For Agartala, it is data analytics and AI. For Mizoram, Aiza is gaming. For Imphal in Manipur is emerging technologies like AR. For Kohima in graphics applications. For Itanagar, it is GIS and drone applications. And for Ganj in Sikkim, it is IT application in healthcare. Is that fine?
Yes, sir. So that means innovation zone and the center of excellence both are same, whatever it is there. Because you have stated innovation zone, and in that innovation zone you have stated all these, and along with that the center of excellence, the same activities it is incorporated.
Center of Excellence has these teams or focus areas, and innovation zone or e-commerce facilitation centers do not have any focus. So you can try anything that is related to any of these chips. So if you are availing the innovation zone in Imphal and you are trying to do something in gaming, that's fine. Although gaming is a focus of ISOL, so that's fine. We will connect. The only thing the person will be missing is the local ecosystem in that particular focus, because mostly the startups there would be and the local level mentors would be focusing on the team, but nevertheless, we will connect them in case of necessity. We will expose their innovative approaches. We will give them guidance by connecting them to other center of excellences in the Northeast. Am I clear?
Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for the clarification. Just that means I have one more query. Is it possible for STPI and NIT Silchar to have that means some direct or that means a one-to-one, that means a kind of collaboration, because we are located in such a strategic place where that means you can very easily that means reach Imphal, Aizawl as well as your Agartala. They are that means almost equidistant from Silchar, and rather since STPI itself is operating out of that means of Guwahati, so we can explore some possibility of that means having a hand-holding mechanism where we can work with that means STPI and can work as a transit backbone point for Mizoram, Tripura as well as that means Manipur. Because reaching Imphal from Silchar is far better than reaching Imphal from that means Guwahati. So any possibility so that we can place this proposal to our that means admin, because we just cannot make a commitment from our side. We'll surely that means discuss the issue with our admin, try to find out that means whether this kind of the options are possible or not. Sir, is it any chance?
Yeah, that's what I mentioned during presentation. First of all, let me clarify. We already have very good point of presence in Imphal, Aizawl, and Agartala. We have state-of-the-art infrastructure put in place already. Particularly Agartala, we have very big setup. We have about 48,000 square feet of space with incubation, state-of-the-art. And then Aizawl also we have about 8,000 square feet of space developed into STPI facility. In Imphal, we have 10,000 square feet of built-up space developed into STPI facility. So we have all in all these locations, and the good thing about Silchar is it is very close to all these three locations. Now, talking about having an extension facility or a full-fledged center in Silchar is a matter to be considered. As director had mentioned, I said that we definitely can discuss that and carry forward if it becomes possible. So we'll raise that issue. Maybe let us discuss on that. One primary requirement, I mean, I'm not committing at this point, but one primary requirement for us would be about 10,000 square feet of built-up space. Because when we put up a center, that built-up space or land or something that we ask from our partner, usually the state governments. So state governments provide us the space or the land where we put up our own facility. So if the NIT Silchar is in a position to provide us that infrastructure support, then it becomes much more easier for us to put up a center there. But something like a joint activity without much stress on the infrastructure, definitely we will definitely go ahead, and I will not only request, I will pray to the director to become a partner to this our opt-in program as an academic partner. So I will immediately I will send my request to the director for becoming an academic partner in this opt-in. And anything more than that, we can discuss and try to find out the feasibility. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. Surely that means we are looking forward of making some that means meaningful interaction with STPI in Guwahati, and wish to be, that means, a point of presence for in South Assam, especially in Barakpeli region.
Yeah, in fact, at some point of time, we had proposed that. We had a proposal to the state government that we want to put up two other centers in Assam, in Dibrugarh and Silchar. And we had sought for their support in terms of this infrastructure or land, whatever. But the response was very poor. I mean, till today, I mean, we had followed up on that issue, but nothing has come up from the state government. We had proposed about Silchar.
Okay, sir, at least in the last, that means, 5 years, the ecosystem has slightly changed. So
Yeah.
supposedly, that means, still there. Even that means we can have a talk with our local member of parliament, who is a very renowned doctor of Silchar, to see that there is a money pop in of STPI in Silchar also.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful interaction. And hopefully, that means once the pandemic is over, surely that means we'll invite you physically in our campus. We have a very, that means, a wonderful campus. And even Dr. Desai is also missing being physically, that means, in our campus. So once the pandemic will be over, surely that means we will invite everybody in our campus. So next one is to Prasanta Kumar Das. Prasanta was just like my younger brother. He was my student also. So Mr. Das, just one thing, that is how the NISP, you have decoded the NISP, that is to the great extent of everyone present here. So is it possible that means the NISP should be, that means, even more simplified? Because even last 2 years also, we are trying to find out an official mechanism of how to let our teachers to establish a startup. But we are finding that means that still there are gray areas which needs to be ironed out. Otherwise, that means it will become, that means, very difficult, because we are again governed by a service rule and other kind of things. So I need to be there in my organization 24/7. But the moment I am also a promoter of a startup, then I need to devote a lot of time for developing my startup. So what is your, that means, opinion regarding, that means, how these things can be easily, that means, addressed and a meaningful solution can be obtained?
So, Fajal is for me. The question is for me.
Yeah.
See, NISP is a policy, correct? It is available in the public domain,
Yeah.
correct? So, I have not decoded anything, like it is already decoded form only. What I tried to do and find out what the role I am playing, that people can play, because as a policymakers is provided, institutions available, and what are the areas I find relevant for today's session, I highlighted. Because end of the day is a serious subject. Startup, or because a lot of people, intellectual people, or the lot of people's time and not money, I'll say that time is getting utilized. So my question is that qualification is a very critical process for any activity we do in our life. It is not the question of startup, like any assignments like to do. So I have seen that even with my earlier organization, consulting organization, that qualification process, if we invest more time, which is the most boring time and where you need a less money, it's only the experience and intellectual capability works there. If it is more qualified, and success rate become failure. Because when I was talking to Pravir sir earlier also, we understand they also put so much effort and time to select in all. They have to get many people. They have to record. There are a lot of activity goes into that. And if they get a right set of people, it's like a bottom-up approach, not necessarily top-down. That anything I submit it. So in that area, even the institute, that innovation council, which I am also a member, I think we can have a role to find out the guideline as per the NISP, that even any students comes up what they to follow in the form of some forms or format or qualified criteria. If they ticked it out, make it much more simpler. So if any students coming up, you have a IIC guideline to them in response to NISP, and providing that if they are following their knowledge, and then you're also sure they have done that activities. Not because the more into discovery part of it, whether done it or not, but it will make the job simpler. Then further from IIC proposes to STPI or the Octane project, they also feel confident that anything quality is coming up from there is a good quality. And it will also give a lot of bandwidth and time to provide an opportunity to more people and who will come up, and this whole selection process will become much easier. So my view is that if the NISP, you can create a, not as a session, as a work group discussion, you can put it up and people can understand, submit their understanding on NISP itself in the faculty members or IIC members and come out with a common agenda. And then you put this agenda, which is also part of your workshop only, and can be followed. End of the day, whole aim is to, with our 130 crore plus people, to reach as much as possible. Because end of the day, it is not humanly possible to go one-to-one. So you need a process and systems in place. And I think NIT Silchar has the capability to do it and put up a framework in place which can be replicated by other institutes. So that's my view on this. I think the professor can, give more into this as a guidance part of it.
Since, thank you, Prasanta. Already that means we have a connection with Praveer Das sir. So we'll try to get his support and advice in future for all the activities of our institutions innovation council. So hopefully that means he will never deprive us or from his suggestion or his recommendation. Thank you, Prasanta and Dr. Desai. Really, that means your story inspired me and scared me. Inspired me for the reason that you narrated everything so succinctly that a first generation entrepreneur or a startup holder is likely to follow. Scared is two things that you came up with. What I also believe is that no business is 100% honest. That is a statement of businessman or business women saying that no business ever can survive with 100% honesty.
Yes.
So hopefully
Yes, sir.
that means we can start up once the pandemic is over. We surely that means NIT with our startup, and we are having that means some of the projects which are being incubated in our startup, and they will surely benefit your advice and encouragement. So any other
Definitely, sir.
question from anybody? So over to you guys for a formal vote of thanks.
Thank you very much, sir. And I on behalf of IIC, N.I.T. Silchar, and the entire IIC and N.I.T. Silchar fraternity here together, and on my own behalf, extend a very hearty vote of thanks to all the eminent speakers, Dr. Mrs. Rucha Desai, Sri Praveer Kumar Das sir, and Sri Prasanta Kumar Das, participants, students, and faculty members for being with us from this morning. It has been a great pleasure for us. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, madam. So with this, we can formally close the our this webinar session. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.